Hello everyone, this is Gorax and today I'm gonna show you an alternative team for Vasska. If you watched my previous video where we used Poison Team against Philander to do over 200 million damage and you can't do it, you can't do two Poison Teams, one for Tamar, one for Philander, then you will need a Frost team against Vasska and a Lelvanist against Philander. So in here I'm gonna show you a team with Vidmir and a team without Vidmir that can do similar damage. So as you can see, this team goes between 227 to 232 million damage, and we're only gonna use two Frost heroes with 3 supports. So let's go over the strategy here. So when it comes to Lelvanist teams, we are using Fitz. However, Fitz is not necessary because Lelvanist does not suffer from the attack penalty applied by the boss. She is kind of bugged because she behaved like a salmon rather than a hero. Apparently, it's not a bug, it's intended. But anyway, moving on to another subject here. For Frost team, you will need Fritz, you will need Fitz to transfer this debuff because these heroes are affected by it, and if you don't do that, you will lose a lot of damage. So the core strategy here will be the same. We'll use Fitz with Puppeteer set to ensure we have 18-second rotation, and Thorin here with all this. Even with this artifact, it works really well because we'll be applying this debuff to Vasska, so Vasska will be doing less damage. But to mitigate the damage completely, we also bring in Voresh. Voresh here will use Witch's Remain. He can actually put Witch's Remain on every summon, every minion, and Vasska at the same time. We will use the 3 Years emblem set on him and this mythic artifact here, Energy Siphoner. If you want to try a different setup, you can use the gloves that do extra damage, precise carnage when the enemy has defense penalty. Maybe this will increase your damage output. But put that in because I just like how these two things work with extra attack. And also we will use Losenia here, and we'll build Losenia with downpipe organ granting both Voresh and Vidmir extra attack. So we'll build her with attack percentage, as you can see here, and enough accuracy to apply Frost, as we will need Frost to trigger Vidmir's skills. Now I run Vidmir with the exclusive artifact and without the exclusive artifact. We can do 232 million with the exclusive artifact, but we're still looking at 215 to 220 million without the exclusive artifact. And as you can see, I'm using 4 mythic set on her, as I believe this is the best build. She will be pretty safe in the back with most of the time with the 100% max HP, because we are constantly reducing the damage that Vasska does to the team, and casting buff prohibition on top of Witch's Remain and transferring the attack penalty from Fitz to the boss, so he's doing neglected damage here, so we don't really need much sustain. When it comes to timings, they are quite important as well. What we want to do is we want to delay the first rotation of our damage dealers, mainly because this is where the boss spawns the most minions. So after this skill, we will do the most damage, and that happens in 18 seconds. So we want to skip first rotation and rather use our skill as soon as this skill pops, because this skill will summon 2 extra minions on the battlefield. This is why we also don't want to cast Voresh ultimate before these minions spawn. So we cast it exactly when they spawn, 24 seconds, and we cast that to target them. You can try and delay it a little bit more by half a second as well, but for me this timing works pretty well. This means the whole battlefield will now have witches remain applied. However, at this point, we also want to remove any attack penalty debuff on our heroes, which is why we put Fits at 23.8. Just before we pop damage, we remove it. Although Vorax damage is not that great here, and Losenia's, we still want them to do this extra additional damage, so we will remove it. And looking at this, there's not enough time for the minions to grant us any debuffs for Vidmir before Vidmir hits. Okay, so this is the team with Vidmir, and this is the damage, and the fight is pretty simple. This follows the same strategy as we had with Lelvanis. Now look at the placement as well. We know that Vasska will spawn the minions in the top and in the bottom. However, Vidmir's battle skill can only target 3. So what we need to do is we need to put her in a position where she'll target 2 of them and the most minions spawn. So this is why this placement, there might be a better placement, but these placements work fine for me. Because if we look at the battle, you'll notice that this is where he spawns them. So we can actually even delay it a tiny bit for Vorax to apply it, as there is delay. So that will increase the damage slightly, and we'll do that just in a second. I just want to show you what happens. So yes, there is that. Oh, actually, we didn't do it quite the way I wanted to do it, because as you can see, those casts were actually faster. That might be due to the frozen debuff. So yeah, that's probably the issue here. So we will never be perfectly synced, because we might have this frozen debuff. So don't worry about that. Anyway, the timings still work. But you can see what's happening. Before Vorax's ultimate, we remove all the debuffs, and all our damage dealers do not have a single stack. Vidmir gets the stack just after she does the damage, and she's doing 1 million DPS. Yeah, so you can try and improve it. I'll leave it to you, but this works just fine to hit that 230 mark. And as you can see, Vidmir's placement here is quite good, because she targets almost all of the minions that spawn beside this one on the bottom. That one is not being targeted by her battle skill. But ultimate wise, we're doing damage. And once again, if you can try and time it before you hit 200 million damage, then you will do even more. We have 2.5 minutes left on the clock, and we are at 200 million damage already. This is once again done with no tempering, nothing of that sort. And remember, if you feel like this rotation doesn't work, you can make it even 19 seconds to make sure it does. But once again, 232 million. So now let's quickly do the same fight, but without the exclusive artifact on Vidmir. It's quite easy to build. A second best artifact would be the Ring of Winter. If you don't have Ring of Winter, you can probably try something else, maybe like Eyeball of the Giant, but Ring of the Winter will be quite mandatory here. And if we run this simulation quickly, you'll see that the damage does fall off. But I would still say it's pretty decent damage here with Vidmir, 227 million, so 5 million less. But as I said, you could use someone else rather than Vidmir, and that is Vidmir. Vidmir has an amazing AoE damage, and the team will use the same strategy. We'll use the same equipment on Fitz and Thorin as well. We'll use the same equipment on Vorax and the same equipment on Losenia. We'll also use Vidmir's equipment on Vidmir. Okay, so basically I reflected that, and obviously we're gonna use this Ring of Winter in this test. And when it comes to the skill timings, they will pretty much mirror that once again. However, there's two ways you can try playing with Vidmir. You can start rotation where your damage dealers are starting it and put it on default, or you can time it with 18 seconds. Try and see which one works best for you. I like to have it on default, as we have quite a lot of ability to apply frost with this team, so he will constantly spam the skills, and rotation is pretty much the same. We will remove the debuffs with Fitz, then we'll follow with Voresh, and after that we will follow with Losenia to apply frost, and then just nuke with Vidmir. As you can see, Vidmir's DPS is nowhere close to the DPS of Vitor, however we're still doing solid 200 million damage with 2 minutes left on the clock. And remember guys, if you have better timings, let me know in the comment section down below, or you think there is someone else who can out damage Vidmir here. I don't think there is any epic hero that can do that. Even looking at the legendary heroes, there might not be, but I would like to know what you're building, how you're building your frost as well. And yeah, let's just jump into the end of this fight to see the damage. So here we are, end of the fight, 213 million damage, done with an epic hero instead of Vitor. So yes, these two teams can do over 200 million against Vasska, but they should not be used unless you can't build a second poison team against Philander. Those of you who are competent, you will use your salmon team here to do over 400, and some of you can do even over 500 million damage here. You will use one of the poison teams against Tamar, the one with Ally here instead of Lothier, but the same team, and then Philander team using Lothier with the leftover poison heroes. And this will basically mean you don't need to worry about Vasska using Frost team. Frost team sadly does not do well against any other boss. The Afterite are just not good enough. So the only use would be Vasska. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe. Bye.